All right, all praise to the Most High Yahweh, and to His Son, my brother Amashiach Yahushua. Peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters from the Israelite tribes. I'm back. It's good to be back. I've been under the weather with allergy problems and chronic coughing, so we'll see how my voice holds up in this video. So please excuse me if I clear it or if I start coughing. So real quick, I'm gonna do a quick disclosure on this channel in this video. First of all, thank y'all for the comments. Please continue to comment. Just follow the YouTube guidelines for the comment sections. Whatever that's supposed to mean, please continue to view the videos and just comment accordingly. The next one is dealing with the channel in general. In general, the channel is a DNA information channel dealing with the paternal Y-DNA information right now. And later on, we'll get into the maternal mtDNA mitochondrial DNA information. So the amount of scriptures, laws, prophecies, and feast days information would be very limited and would be at a low volume. Nevertheless, this channel will have some scriptures dealing with it, but it won't be at a high clip pace of volumes of scriptures. And so with that information, hopefully y'all can find brothers and sisters that can edify y'all on the laws, feast days, and prophecies, and all the other information. And please do keep the laws. That's very important. But at the same time, look into other forms of information to edify the things that you need to know about your people and other groups of people. And also, I wanted to disclose about this video. This video would be, in general, about charts and graphs. So if you're a person that's looking to get away from the format of the 12 tribes of Israel charts, you won't be escaping that format. You'll be coming into even more charting information. So the problem with the 12 tribes chart is outdated and it's lacking demographic information. So if we add to the chart as much information with details, then we'll be better off. So I think that's everybody argument in general. So eventually we'll get to that point and we'll get into a few things dealing with that chart. Other than that, in this video, we're gonna lightly build up that information for that content for you to be aware and understand it. So with that, let's get into the video. So last time I revised the nation chart. So this was the chart that account I saw with and or account. This is a chart that account had. So I chose it to use to revise. So basically, you have on one side progenitors and or regions, and then on the other side you have progenitors, and then in the middle you have Paleo Hebrew of the phonetics or the pronunciation of the words. So we're gonna run down this chart real quick. So Israel is number one. Number two is the white man. Obviously, right here, they equal the white man to Edom, and as half and half true. Not all white people are Edom, and Edom is not just a big white race of people. The next one is India, Elam. So just like every um, thing that you see from Hollywood to commercials to news outlet articles and shows, a lot of the people that are marketed in India are the pale complected uh, Indian people. A majority of those people are just Asian Caucasian people or Japhetic Caucasian people. Now, the Japhetic groups of people are they have pools of groups of people that imitate the Hamitic groups and Shemitic groups of people. So the most popular site on television with many of these nations of people are pale complected people representing Shemitic people when all the groups of nations of people have dark progenitors and still big populations of dark people. So we have Assyria, we have Syria. So the one of the updates that I do on my chart is Syria. So we'll get into that shortly. The next one is Ishmael Arabs, and this is another part that is uh, a conflict in Israel. So here we have Edom and Ishmael being Caucasian people with complexion, and in general, everybody assumed that Ishmael is Arab, and the Arab people are mostly in the Middle East. So, um, me with my understanding is the Arabs are dealing with a regional grouping of several different people living in the Middle East and sometimes in the Maghreb or Northern Africa region and or East Africa region. So that that's the problem that everybody is suffering with. So in many of those regions, you have different names for those people in North Africa and East Africa, and then in the Middle East. So in general, by a lot of people just call all those people Arabs. Just like in general, they'll call everybody in West Africa Bantu when that's not pertaining to all the people, you know. So, and the same thing with the Native American, calling all those people Arawak people when, you know, all those people are not the same people. It's just a umbrella terminology to group people in a region. So that how I would tell people to look at that. And if you're questioning people, just ask them for their demographic information. And many of them will go, well, my family is an Ishmaelite or a Heshemite or even a Canaanite is a popular belief that those people are. So we have Chinese, Moab, and a lot of those people in China are the same way with the people in India. Most of those people are pale skin complected people. So the Chinese people wouldn't necessarily be Moab. So we'll get into that information as well. Same thing with the Japanese people and Ethiopia, Egyptians, North Africa, South Africa. So instead of going into what are these people in modern day time with the land holding for this one and for Greece. I basically went into ancient information about those people. So dealing with demographics of people that would actually be the original people and dealing with that information. So we'll get into that too. And Turkey, Russia, um, some parts of the information of Greek or Greece, German, Spanish, Cyprus, all those people are Japhetic Caucasian people. So we're going to get into my revised notes. So this is the demographic charts of the 18 nations with a few updates. My last video was on this, so I just had to do a few update, because I wanted to do like a updated chart, but then I was like having a couple problem with some lacking of the information dealing with Aram and median, so I just added median. So excuse me. So Israel is E1B1A, Shemitic Israelite people, and these are the groups of people that would fit among um, the information of Israel. E1B1A. The next group would be Edom. So with that, I had to go into detail. So they will be E1B1B, because remember we are closely related, but we are separate nations of people. So in the in this pool, this E pool is dealing directly with Abrahamic uh, groups of people. So Edom would be Shemitic Edomites, and in East Africa there will be your Somalis, the Oromo people, even some Berber people. But the Berbers are dealing with people that are dealing with North African people, and also dealing with uh, people on that little edge of West Africa in the north, and Morocco region, in the Moroccan region, and some parts of Mauritania and Mali. So you have the Berber groups. So these are people that are ranging in skin complexion. So you have um, dark complexion, and then you have a tan, and then you have a pale complexion. So as you can see, Edom is in certain areas. Also, Edom and small populations are in the Middle East. Also, in small population are in Europe. Um, a majority of the concentration of their pale grouping of people are in Greece and Albania. So we have to be mindful of that. Also, another notation, Edom is also in populations in the Americas as well. So we have to be careful with that. And um, we get into detail about how you could tell the understanding and the corresponding um, information, or the information that you could compare to see if these people are in a big population in those regions. So a lot of times when DNA information is being suppressed, they'll do a mtDNA on a region, and the mtDNA is just basically doing with the dealing with the maternal line of the DNA structure. So it could be for the count of percentages of women in the region, or it could also be a count of males in the region as well. So because um, the male carry the X and the Y um, gene information. So you can also double up on that information and use that as the information tool instead of YDNA. So um, it's a lot of interesting tricks that DNA could do to misinform people if you're not aware of these things. So we'll get into that later, but there are um, Edomites in the Americas, and they could be dark complected to a tan color to a pale complected group of people. The next one is Elam. Elam is um, India. India the is a F1 YDNA group, and it'll be Shemitic Elamites, and these are dealing with the very dark complected people. So you also have populations of city people. Uh, so the city people are a separate, different race of dark people. They are mostly related to our people. They are E1B1A grouping of people. So we'll eventually get into that as well. But the majority of that region is shown as like a pale complected group of people, even a brownish tint complexion group of people, and even those people will either be um, H or even sometime even Q. The Central Asian region still have populations of Q and H and T, but all these groups of people are still Japhetic Caucasian groups of people. So, nevertheless, Syria is the region north of Iraq. So, you have parts of Syria and northern Iraq is basically Assyria, and that would be J1, Japhetic, dealing with Iraqi and Kurds. Aram. So Aram is dealing with the region in Syria. So another J1 group, Japhetic, Caucasian, dealing with the land in modern day. That would be the YDNA marker for the region. So a lot of those people are just Caucasian people. Now the ancient people, due to other demographic surveys and research that other people done, some people still believe that they are Canaanites. So there's a possibility of a YDNA marker of Hamitic descent in the region. Aram, also as a progenitor, would be closely tied to the E DNA pool, dealing with being Aram was the nephew of Abraham, so that DNA section would be under a close branch of E1A, relating itself to Ishmael. Ishmael wouldn't be technically an Arab grouping of people. Nevertheless, there are pockets of massive groups of people in Africa that are related to super enclaves or groups of people, and some of those people are Ishmael, and some of them are in regions that are technically Arab regional settings. So that's a small percentage of those people, but many of the Ishmaelites are among our people in West Africa. So you have the Fube, the Fula, the Fulani, some parts of the Haza groupings, the Wudobe people. So it's um, a massive group of people that have percentages of our people, massive percentages of Ishmael, and other percentages of other dark races or Caucasian people and other groups of people, and even small pockets of Edomites. But in general, a lot of these groups are mostly Ishmaelites, E1A. And like always, you go to um, Wikipedia and go to the YDNA of Sub-Saharan Africa, and you get look at the sample data that they've done in the past of those things. So 7 is Moab. I put ancient Chinese. It would be C Shemitic grouping of Moabites. So that would be dealing with Aboriginal Australian people. So that would be making up some parts of your several groupings of Native American people. So so on that's it on that part of Moab. Ammon. This was a interesting find. Well, also Moab, you can still find C1A and C2 in mainland Asia, but a lot of the population of Moab is in Australia and also in the Americas. Now, in with Ammon, you have some pockets of Ammonites that are um, varying in skin complexion in Japan, also in mainland Asia. But the most interesting thing is a lot of these people are also in different regional islands in the Indian Ocean and other parts of the Pacific. So the Andamanese, the Sinhalese, the Java people, there's a high possibility that those groups of people are all Ammonites because of the test samples that they got from exclusive places from that region. So that's dealing with that. And then the Inu people are also Ammonites. So um, with Ethiopia, ancient Egypt, Libya, South Africa, we got into just finding Hamitic groups of people to put in the place that are closest to the region. So I did the Dinka, the Nua, the Shilluk people, and the Nama people, and the Khoikhoi people. So these are um, groupings of people dealing with ADNA, AYDNA, and BYDNA. So they basically gave him two groupings of DNA haplogroup settings. So those are your hermetic demographics and DNA markers. Turkey, Gomer, J2, Japhetic Caucasian, the Turks, the Armenian, the Lebanese, Israeli, the same the same group of people that are in Syria and Iraq. 14, Megat Russia. G1, same group as Gomer and Turkey. Japhetic Caucasian people in Georgia and Georgia, Russia, and the Caucasus Mountain Range. Um, Jovan, Greece. J1, Japhetic Caucasian group of Creek people, and a marker and notation dealing with E1B1B groups of Chemitic Edomite people and Southern Greeks. Ancient Greek people would actually be K2A or K2B groupings of people. And that would be the marker for the people that have been relocated all the way out into the Pacific Island region of Solomon Islands and Oceania regions of the Pacific. And there would be, this would be a candidate between this group, K2, and the R1B. Those would be the two proper candidates for the original groupings of Japhetic Caucasian people. These are your dark complexion people with interesting mutations. And then the next one is Germany, Ashkenaz, Germany, R1B. And like I said before, this R grouping of people is alternating DNA or gene mutation that could produce pale complexion of people and dark complexions of people. So you have that in Germany, you have that throughout all of Europe mostly. But yeah, you have that in Germany, Spain, and Cyprus as well. Cyprus is also J2. So all these are the same groups of people. And then at the bottom, I added a 19th nation median dealing with Uganda, Allure, E2. And then I put the defining mutation, E-M41, E-M75. You can also find these groups of people on Madagascar. So technically, it's still 18 nations when you remove Israel and or remove when you remove Israel from being the ruling nation and or if you move Edom from being extinct. So it's still overall 18 nations. Now we get into this chart right here. So this is your YDNA version of the 12 tribes chart of Israel, dealing with the haplogroups of E1B1A and the subclades. So we have 10 markers, and the 10 markers are dealing with the brothers that was originally sharing the same maternal parent. So DNA breaks that into that information, and then along with the different protein count, you get the remaining information of where the other brothers fit from uh, being broken off from the top few first brothers. So we'll get into some parts of that information. So here go the branches, all 10. Alt 10. In this format, they break it down into more than 10 because of the of the overpopulation of certain groups of northern kingdoms. So they just broke down a lot of branches. So you have a basic countdown to find out who are these people. So uh, this first group would be the representation of Reuben, E1B, 1A, 1A, 1, and then so on. So after a while, you'll have to understand who share the same eternal parent, and then you'll get into the other information of the understanding of why they are being broken down with the parts dealing with Joseph and the other Northern Kingdom groupings of people with heavy populations and extra subclades. So Gad Gad does that. Gad does that. I think let's see, Gad, Joseph. I think Issachar or Zebulon. They both do the same thing. So we'll eventually get into that with the percentages or the extra branches. So but this is just to show you that all the people that are in the Shemitic grouping of people are different nations of people. So that's the whole understanding of this haplogroup and the subclade being broken down. You have to understand that some graphs are trying to group the whole groups of E together when the other groupings of people are separated so many times. They always separate the Caucasian people. So that's something that we have to look into and look at for more information. So next we'll get into a few graphs. So the first one is about Cuba. So Cuba, this sample is basically dealing with a Cuban sample. I'm pretty sure this is done in Cuba and not any other place. But this information can vary because on WikiOne they have information on that too. Real quick. Alright, so this is also information about E1B, E1B1A in the Americas. So you have Cuban people at a 9.8%. So we'll go back to the chart. So on this graph, you have 47% of people being from R1B, 1B2, and that would be Japhetic Caucasian. Could be a dark complexion, it could be a pale complexion group. You have your T white DNA at 3%. That would be at um, a dark to 10 complexion group of Caucasian people. Then you have like a 1% of C white DNA, which would be your Shemitic Moabite people. That'll be at 1%. And that would definitely be a dark race of people. So right here, they do E/E1A. So they most likely was doing Ishmael right here because our population is at 9%. So this is Ishmael. But sometimes they'll group our people like this, put E/E1A, and it'll include E1B1A, E1A, E1B1B. But on this chart, they goes into a 11% of E3B. E3B would be E1B1B. So that's why I was telling you that there's a population of Edomites in the region of the Americas. So, and then the rest, the G, the O, the Q, the I, the J, all these are Japhetic Caucasian groups. The G would be your pale complexion people. The O would be your pale complexion Asian Caucasian people. The Q would be your Native American grouping of people. The I would be your Scandinavian, European type pale complexion. The J would be your tan or pale complexion groups of Japhetic Caucasian people. And your Q1 would be your brown skinned people, the brown. So many of the native population would be dealing with the Q people. So we have that. So on this one, technically then I put the E1B1A. It could have been put in the same marker with the E1A since they put the slash, but a lot of these graphs are dealing with the same information from government sample pools. So I think they just exclude in general the E1B1A on here. But there are E1B1A people in Cuba, but not a lot. So the next one would be Iran. So in Iran we have this. So our people would be this yellow box with the black line in the middle. E-M2 would be our people grouping. They're also Hamitic people, like people said before. A lot of people considered themselves Canaanite, so that's a B marker for Canaan. The C is for Moab. Our group, the E-M2, the this box right here, the yellow box E-M123, that will be Edom, I believe. Edom, and then the next one would be Ishmael. If not, it'll be the other way around. Excuse me for not being informed with all the mutations, but they often use mutations for the haplogroup markers as well. So the G would be Caucasian Japhetic people or Japhetic Caucasian people. The H Japhetic Caucasian people. J2 J2, J1, J1, L, Q, R, T. All those are Japhetic Caucasian people. So now we get to the fun part. So in the island of Kashim, right here, you have a good amount of E1B1A people in that region. You have some people in Sistine, and then you have some of our people in Fars. Also, you have some of our people in Saudi Arabia. So you have a tiny bit of our people in Iraq. Tiny. So the majority, like you have the majority of the grouping of people would be J2. J2 would be a lot of the majority of the red and white stripes. In some parts you have, let's see, would that be? Oh, J2. All the J's are the majority of the population, but overall, these are Japhetic Caucasian people. And then you have a lot of R's. So that's it with that. So, like the scripture says, we've been scattered to the four corners. So that's a representation of that. So you have islands in the Persian Gulf where our people, you have Iran, with some of our people, you have our people in Saudi Arabia, some parts of Iraq. Let's see, and then the next one would be um, Easter Island in the Americas, in the Pacific Island near Chile. You have Easter Island. So you have a good percentage of our people, E1B1A, at 30%. The next big piece of the pie would be going to the QYDA. That would be your Native American groups of people. So real quick, these are the two conflict that we are having with the 12 tribes chart with the information on grouping of people. Both of these people are technically similar skin complexion, but the DNA are very different. And also with the Q marking, when it goes into the subclade of the Q, it'll tell you how much longer that this subclade been in the region versus our people. So with our people, E1B1A, this is a very old haplogroup, but the haplogroup already been um, settled as a original um, progenitary or progenitor grouping of people. So our protein is already aged in the region in a setting to where it won't get another what's the word separate uh, another separate DNA marker added to the subclade due to being broken away from the ancestor pool of DNA. So you have that dealing with the Native American groups of people. That one, there's a C1B or a C1A, and then there's a C3, a C4, a Q1, a Q4. Those are separation of ancient ancestors of the same haplogroup, but the separation between years and years in which the protein become modified into a mutation and it's a different count of the same protein structure. So that's the best way I can explain that. So okay. Also, there's R1B. There would technically be another grouping of Native American people, depending on who government agency is doing the sampling, who commercial agency is doing the sampling. But technically, those are um, markers for Native American people as well. Um, the Black Native American people would be considered R1B, but all these people, the remaining from J to Q, all those people are Japhetic Caucasian people. So that's it with this video. All praise to the Most High Yahweh, and to His Son, my brother Amashiach Yahushai. Peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters of the Israelite tribes. Once again, thank y'all for the views. Thank y'all for the comments. Hopefully, I edify somebody. Hopefully, you take parts of this video and information and build upon the information, and do your own research and come back and tell me that I was awful wrong, and I'll accept it, and I'll come back to you and tell you, the same thing, and we could build that way, and we could keep these debates and issues on a humble level of educating each other on this information, because I'm still learning a lot of stuff as well. So um, I have to use information that is, you know, often conflicting with each other with the numbers and everything. So I have to, connect the dots, and I have to debunk, and then I have to come back and prove that the information that I have is right. And once I do, I bring it to you. And sometimes, I'm in a rush. Sometimes my information is lacking. So forgive me, but this is the best informative um, informative way that I could present the information on the Y-DNA and DNA in general. So up to this point, I think the information that I'm providing is very accurate because of the information that I am finding with the research from the think tanks and every other sample stats that are available on the internet. Eventually, we'll get into those pages because I found something interesting that I would have to get into, but right now it's not the time, and it is a very interesting look into what the future would hold if we are here longer than what we need to be. So we'll get into all of that eventually, and the Most High power will. Eventually, we'll get into that. But once again, thank y'all for the views and the comments. Y'all take care. Thanks.